Did you know that over 230,000 Canadian seniors could lose a portion of their government benefits in 2026 just for earning a little too much? That's right. A new rule tied to income thresholds is quietly creeping in, and it's set to hit the middle-class seniors the hardest, not the wealthy. Most people haven't even heard about it, yet it could wipe out thousands of dollars from retirement income right when every dollar counts. The most shocking part, you don't even have to be rich to be affected. A part-time job, a small pension increase, or even taking out RRSP funds at the wrong time could trigger the clawback, leaving you with less in your pocket despite doing everything right. It's a trap hidden in plain sight. So, how exactly does this 2026 rule work, and who's at risk? Stay with us, because the details will surprise you. Number 1. The 2026 rule. What is it? Really? Most people think of new rules as flashy laws announced with a lot of media buzz. But the 2026 change isn't a brand new bill. It's a silent shift in how old age security (OAS) benefits are calculated, especially the clawback thresholds. These thresholds determine how much income a senior can earn before the government starts taking back their OAS payments. In 2026, the income threshold is being adjusted again, and while that sounds routine, it's creating real problems for average seniors. A few extra dollars of income, sometimes as little as a small pension raise, can now trigger a chain reaction that slashes benefits significantly. The clawback begins once a senior's income crosses a certain point, known as the OAS recovery tax threshold. In 2026, this threshold is increasing, but not nearly fast enough to keep up with inflation and the rising cost of living. That means more seniors will earn just enough to cross that line, especially those with small investments, pensions, or part-time income. It's like being punished for trying to stay afloat. Even worse, many seniors don't realize how easily they can fall into this trap because the income being counted includes RRSP withdrawals, capital gains, and even some tax credits. It's a setup that can catch you off guard, even if you plan carefully. The result? Seniors who thought they were financially stable suddenly face reduced monthly benefits, higher taxes, and a lot more financial stress. And it's not just those with high incomes. Middle-income retirees are actually the most vulnerable. They're earning too much to qualify for full support, but not nearly enough to cover rising costs on their own. That's why this quiet 2026 rule might be one of the most damaging yet, for those who've worked hard all their lives and expected their retirement to feel secure. Number 2. Losing benefits for earning a bit more. One of the most frustrating parts of the 2026 rule is how easily seniors can lose benefits just for earning slightly more income. Many assume that making a bit of extra money, whether from a part-time job, rental income, or withdrawing from retirement savings, is a smart move. But in reality, that extra income can push them just over the OAS clawback threshold, triggering a gradual reduction in their monthly benefits. The government starts reclaiming 15 cents for every dollar earned above the limit. That might not sound like much, until you realize it could mean losing over $2,000 a year in benefits you were counting on. This setup creates a strange and discouraging situation. The harder seniors try to support themselves, the more likely they are to be penalized. For example, someone who decides to take on a small contract or part-time role to cover rising grocery or utility costs could unknowingly push themselves into the clawback zone. What's worse is that many retirees don't find out until tax time, when their accountant informs them that they've lost benefits and may even owe more in taxes. It's a financial trap that punishes self-reliance, and it's becoming more common as cost of living pressures force seniors to look for ways to supplement their fixed incomes. This hits especially hard for middle-income seniors, those who don't qualify for low-income supports like the Guaranteed Income Supplement (GIS), but also don't have large retirement portfolios to rely on. These are Canadians who did everything right. They saved, paid off their homes, and tried to remain active in the workforce. But now, under the 2026 rule changes, their financial caution may backfire. It's a slow bleed on their income, one that can go unnoticed until the losses become impossible to ignore. Number 3. Cost of living is rising, but benefits aren't. Canadian seniors are feeling the pressure from every direction. Groceries, rent, utilities, and healthcare costs have all surged in recent years. Yet, the increases to old age security (OAS) and other benefits simply aren't keeping up. While these programs are technically indexed to inflation, the adjustments are often too small and too slow to match the real-life increases in daily expenses. That gap leaves many retirees struggling to make ends meet, even as their official income seems to stay the same or rise slightly. In reality, their purchasing power is shrinking, and that's what truly matters. This growing disconnect is especially dangerous under the 2026 rule changes. If a senior's income increases just enough to cross the clawback threshold, even by accident, they don't just lose purchasing power due to inflation. They also lose actual money in the form of reduced benefits. It creates a double squeeze. The cost of essentials goes up, and the financial help from the government goes down. For many seniors, this means cutting back on basic needs, like reducing medication, skipping meals, or delaying important home repairs, just to stay financially afloat. These are not luxuries. They're essentials for healthy, dignified aging. What makes this especially painful is that the seniors most affected are often the ones who never expected to struggle. They saved what they could, they planned ahead, and now they're watching their retirement security unravel, not because of bad choices, but because the system isn't adjusting fast enough to support them. It's not just about numbers on a page. It's about seniors who work hard their entire lives now facing stress and hardship in their final years. And with the 2026 rule in full effect, that situation is about to get even worse. Number 4. Middle-income seniors hit the hardest. When we think about retirement struggles, we often picture low-income seniors barely getting by. But under the 2026 rule changes, it's actually middle-income retirees who are taking the hardest hit. These are the people who spent decades working, saving modestly, and trying to build a stable future. They don't qualify for low-income assistance like the Guaranteed Income Supplement (GIS), but they also don't have large private pensions or high investment returns to cushion the blow. They're caught in the middle, and the system isn't built to protect them. The problem is that the OAS clawback doesn't care how secure or insecure your financial situation feels. It only looks at numbers. Once your income crosses the threshold, even by a few dollars, you start losing benefits. This might include seniors who simply withdraw a bit more from their RRSP to cover medical bills or rising rent. Many don't even realize that one-time income events, like cashing in on a small investment, could push them into clawback territory for the year. It's a silent penalty for simply trying to keep up, and it targets exactly the group of retirees who are often too wealthy for support, but far from rich enough to be comfortable. This creates a growing class of vulnerable seniors who are financially squeezed, but largely invisible to public policy. They're not eligible for major support programs, and yet they're losing out on the very benefits meant to support them. For many, it's starting to feel like they're being punished for playing by the rules. With living costs rising and the 2026 threshold creeping in, middle-income seniors could be forced to make heartbreaking choices about what they can afford, unless major changes are made to how the system supports them. Number 5. Confusing rules lead to costly mistakes. One of the biggest issues with the 2026 OAS changes isn't just the rule itself. It's how confusing and unclear the entire system has become for everyday seniors. The rules around clawbacks, income thresholds, taxable benefits, and deductions are complicated even for professionals. For many retirees trying to navigate this on their own, it feels almost impossible to make the right financial decisions without risking a loss in benefits. And when mistakes happen, they're often discovered too late, during tax season, when the damage is already done. Seniors might unintentionally trigger a benefit reduction by doing something as simple as cashing in a small investment, taking out a lump sum from an RRSP, or even collecting a back payment from a company pension. These aren't luxury choices, they're often survival decisions. But under the new system, each of these actions could push their income over the clawback limit. And because many seniors aren't told how the rules work, or aren't given clear, plain language guidance, they end up making well-meaning choices that cost them dearly. The worst part, some seniors end up paying more in taxes and losing benefits at the same time, a double financial blow. This lack of clarity leads to anxiety, frustration, and in some cases, outright fear. Retirees are left wondering if every financial move they make could backfire. Instead of feeling supported, many feel like the system is stacked against them, full of hidden penalties and unclear terms. Financial planning in retirement should be about peace of mind, but under these confusing rules, it's becoming a constant source of stress. And with the 2026 clawback thresholds taking effect, these costly mistakes are only expected to increase unless more transparency and education are provided for seniors across the country. Before we go any further, we want to ask you something from the heart. If this video is helping you understand what no one else is talking about, please take a second to subscribe. It's just one click, but means the world to us and helps us keep creating content that truly matters. And tell us in the comments, how are these changes affecting you or someone you love? Number 6. Higher taxes make it even worse. As if losing benefits wasn't enough, many seniors are also being hit with higher taxes at the same time, creating a financial situation that feels impossible to win. Here's how it happens. When a senior's income goes above the OAS clawback threshold, not only do they start losing a portion of their old age security, but that income is also fully taxable. That means the extra money they earn, whether from savings, investments, or part-time work, could push them into a higher tax bracket, increasing their total tax bill significantly. In some cases, seniors can end up losing benefits and paying more tax on the same dollar earned. What's even more frustrating is that this tax impact isn't always clear up front. Seniors often think they're doing the smart thing by drawing from their RRSPs or working a few extra hours. But these decisions can lead to what's called the tax clawback trap, where their effective tax rate, once you factor in lost OAS, higher taxes, and reduced credits, becomes shockingly high. In fact, some retirees unknowingly end up in a situation where they keep less than half of every additional dollar they make. It feels like being penalized for simply trying to be financially responsible. This combination of shrinking benefits and rising taxes can destroy a senior's financial stability faster than expected. Instead of enjoying retirement, many are now spending hours trying to figure out how to stay below certain income levels just to avoid being penalized. It's a backwards system that discourages saving and working, and it's leaving thousands of seniors feeling anxious and trapped. With the 2026 rules tightening the screws even more, the risk of being overtaxed while losing benefits is something every Canadian retiree now needs to watch closely. Number 7. Working in retirement can backfire. Many seniors choose to work part-time in retirement, not just to stay active, but to help cover rising living costs. Whether it's a few shifts at a local store, freelance work, or even babysitting the grandkids for a little pay, that extra income can make a big difference. But under the 2026 rules, earning even a modest amount can push retirees over the OAS clawback threshold, resulting in a reduction of their monthly benefits. What was meant to provide more freedom ends up triggering unexpected penalties, making it feel like working more means keeping less. This is especially frustrating for seniors who believe they were doing the right thing, contributing to society, staying engaged, and supporting themselves. But instead of being rewarded, they may find that their old age security is reduced, their taxes increase, and their net income barely improves. In some cases, it may even go down. It's a confusing and discouraging outcome, especially when many aren't warned that this could happen. There's no official notice when you cross the income limit, just a smaller benefit check and a larger tax bill later on. The sad truth is that the system makes it feel like financial independence is punished. Seniors who are able and willing to keep working, often out of necessity, are finding themselves in a complicated situation where earning more could mean falling behind. It turns retirement planning into a stressful balancing act. Instead of celebrating self-sufficiency, the 2026 rule change creates a financial wall that blocks seniors from improving their lives. Unless the system is adjusted to support rather than penalize working seniors, many will have to choose between earning a little more and losing critical benefits they depend on to survive. Number 8. Guaranteed Income Supplement at Risk. For Canada's lowest income seniors, the Guaranteed Income Supplement, GIS, is a financial lifeline. It's designed to top up monthly income for those who qualify, offering extra support for essentials like rent, food, and medicine. But what many don't realize is that GIS is incredibly sensitive to small changes in income, and under the 2026 rules, more seniors could unintentionally disqualify themselves for receiving it. Even a minor increase in reported income, such as from RRSP withdrawals, small part-time jobs, or CPP adjustments, can result in a partial or full loss of GIS benefits. This is especially alarming because the people who rely on GIS are already on tight budgets, often living below or just above the poverty line. For them, losing even $50 a month can mean skipping meals or struggling to pay bills. And the system doesn't offer much flexibility. Seniors who unintentionally cross the income line may lose benefits for an entire year, even if the change in income was temporary or one-time only. There's very little room for error, and often, no warning until it's too late. The 2026 changes are likely to worsen this problem as income thresholds shift and more people get caught off guard. Worse still, many GIS recipients may not even realize how easily they can fall out of eligibility. The rules are technical, the paperwork is complex, and many low-income seniors don't have access to professional financial advice. They're doing their best to stay afloat, and yet the system seems to penalize even small steps forward. With the 2026 updates, more seniors are at risk of falling through the cracks, not because they've made bad decisions, but because the system isn't built to protect those on the edge. This could lead to a dramatic rise in senior poverty across Canada. Number 9. Living longer, but with less security. Canadian seniors are living longer than ever before, and while that's a positive sign of better healthcare and longer lifespans, it also comes with serious financial challenges. Retirement savings that were once expected to last 10 or 15 years now need to stretch over 25 to 30 years or more. But with rising costs, stagnant benefits, and new rules like the 2026 clawback thresholds, many seniors are finding that their money simply isn't lasting. Instead of enjoying a comfortable retirement, they're being forced to make tough choices to avoid outliving their savings. The unfortunate reality is that the longer seniors live, the more vulnerable they become to the impact of these policy changes. Even those who retired with a decent nest egg are discovering that inflation, higher taxes, reduced benefits, and healthcare costs are eating away at their financial cushion. And once they start dipping into RRSPs or other savings to make ends meet, they often trigger income increases that lead to OAS clawbacks or GIS losses. It becomes a cycle that's hard to escape, one where seniors must sacrifice their quality of life to stay financially afloat. This is especially troubling because seniors should be able to enjoy their later years without the constant stress of budgeting every dollar. They should feel secure, not penalized for living longer. But the current system doesn't reflect that reality. With each passing year, the pressure builds, and for many, retirement starts to look less like a reward and more like a financial survival game. The 2026 rule changes are only adding to this stress, making it clear that unless reforms are made, longer lifespans won't mean better life for thousands of Canadian seniors. Instead, many will spend those extra years worrying about how to make their money stretch just a little further. Number 10. Retirement dreams are slipping away. For decades, Canadians were told that if they worked hard, paid their taxes, and saved what they could, they'd earn a peaceful and secure retirement. But for a growing number of seniors, especially under the new 2026 rule changes, that promise is starting to feel like a fading illusion. The dream of enjoying life after retirement, traveling, relaxing, spending time with family, is being replaced with anxiety over bills, shrinking benefits, and uncertainty about the future. What was once seen as a reward for a lifetime of contribution is now becoming a time of financial strain and emotional stress. The combination of OAS clawbacks, rising taxes, stagnant benefit increases, and harsh GIS penalties is chipping away at the foundation of retirement security in Canada. Seniors are finding themselves constantly doing mental math, wondering if an extra $100 will tip them into the next clawback zone, or if a small pension adjustment will cost them crucial support. It's exhausting. Instead of enjoying their golden years, many are stuck navigating a complicated web of rules and thresholds that seem designed to catch them off guard. And with these rules tightening even further in 2026, the situation is only going to get more difficult for those already on the edge. Perhaps the most painful part is the feeling of being forgotten. Many of these seniors lived modest lives, didn't overspend, and contributed to the economy for decades, only to now feel punished for getting old. They're watching their retirement plans shrink, not because of poor choices, but because of shifting policies that seem disconnected from the realities of aging. These rule changes may not grab headlines, but for thousands of seniors across the country, they are silently rewriting the meaning of retirement, and not in a good way. The truth is, the 2026 rule changes aren't just a minor policy update. They represent a major shift in how retirement looks for thousands of Canadian seniors. Quietly, and without much public attention, these changes are tightening the financial pressure on those who can least afford it. The worst part? Most seniors don't even see it coming. One year they're managing just fine, and the next, they're hit with smaller benefit payments, higher taxes, and a growing fear that their money won't last. These rules are creating a landscape where working a little more, saving a little harder, or withdrawing your own money at the wrong time can leave you worse off. Seniors are stuck between rising costs and shrinking support, with little guidance and almost no warning. It's a system that punishes caution and planning and rewards nothing but silence. And while the rules may seem fair on paper, they fail to consider the lived reality of those who built this country, people who deserve more than financial uncertainty in their later years. If this trend continues, we're going to see more and more seniors pushed to the edge, not because they failed to plan, but because the system failed to protect them. The promise of retirement is slowly being rewritten, and unless there's a shift in policy or public awareness, this new chapter could be one of the hardest yet. It's time we start paying attention to how these rules affect the people who gave their lives to building the nation we live in today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you or someone you know feel the impact of these changes? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. If you found this video helpful, please support our work by subscribing. We put hours into every script, every fact, and every word to keep you informed. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.